Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Footbass Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about every NFL team's biggest New Year's resolution for 2022. That could be in the off season, that could be in the playoffs, if you're in the playoffs this year, if you're a team that's in the playoffs, or it could be draft picks, or it could be next season, something like that. We're going to go by division, and we're going to start off, we're going to start it off right now. We're going to start off with the New England Patriots, and this one's kind of long. It's, this one is basically win the Super Bowl, but what I said was make the Brady-Belichick question a question again, basically. So what that really means is basically just win the Super Bowl, and the question of did Belichick make Brady or Brady make Belichick, that question will be on again. So really that's all I really have to say about them, is just win the Super Bowl and get back to that question, and then everyone will be confused again. The Buffalo Bills. That one is the Buffalo Bills find a new running back. Really, during the offseason, they have to find a new running back. Right now they have Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, but that's just not going to cut it. If you want to win a Super Bowl or make it far into the playoffs, in my opinion, you need a good talent running back. Kind of like, just like someone like in his prime, Le'Veon Bell, or just like Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, guys like that. Guys like that, you need to have a good and successful offense. In my opinion, you need that package, because you got Josh Allen obviously, but you need a good running back, and Devin Singletary and Zach Moss I don't think is going to cut it for them if they want to win a Super Bowl. The New York Jets is basically everything, but I just said rebuild offensively, and they really do need to rebuild offensively. They need a new quarterback, because Zach Wilson is not a long-term quarterback. Need new wideouts. I got Jamison Crowder and Corey Davis right now, they're not going to cut it. And new running backs, new tight ends, everyone basically, new offensive line, just everyone. Honestly, new offensive coordinator at this point, new everything. But their defense is okay. I think the offense needs more work than the defense, but I really do think they really need to, especially quarterback and all the skill positions, especially like tight end, running back, wide receiver, quarterback, guys like that. The Miami Dolphins, and obviously we're going by division for every team. Miami Dolphins is going to be find a better quarterback. Tua Tagovailoa is not going to cut it. I really don't think he's going to make the cut for the Dolphins. I don't think he has. He's not good. I really don't think he's that good. Not just because he's a different hand. He's different hand. I forgot what hand he is. So people usually use the left hand. I think maybe he's right-handed. I have no idea, but I forgot. But I just don't think he's that good. He can't throw. Obviously, I said this a few episodes back. You need a good running quarterback, like Lamar or Kyler Murray or Patrick Mahomes, guys like that. In order to be successful, I think it's not a huge deal, but it can be a huge deal when like Tom Brady, you don't have a good rushing quarterback. You need one of those guys. And Tua Tagovailoa is not that guy. Pittsburgh Steelers. Find a replacement for Ben Roethlisberger. That's a pretty simple one. Obviously, we're in a new division now. But that's pretty simple, really. Find a replacement, I think. There's not many I think they're going to need to trade for him just trade a guy or two, maybe a draft pick, because there's not really any good quarterbacks out there in the draft. They're like the number one pick in the mock draft's like an offensive lineman or something. So there's not really any good quarterbacks out there, but maybe in 2 years, when Bryce Young and all those guys get are seniors and are eligible for the draft, maybe when that happens. But for next year, I think they're still going to be going off of Ben Roethlisberger. I think they'll just keep Mason Rudolph, to be honest. And then next year they'll get maybe Bryce Young or any of those guys. But yeah, that's just what I think is going to happen. The sixth team, the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens has two. Find a long-term running back is number one. They don't have a very good running back. They have a lot of okay running backs, but they don't have a really good running back. And just like the Bills, you need a good running back in order to be successful, I think. And the next one is find a new way for Lamar Jackson to get loose, basically. They have, ever since that game against the Miami Dolphins, everyone has kept him at bay, and he's been injured. He's had COVID, and he's been sick, but he can't get loose now. Ever since that game, it's not working for him. Whatever he's trying to do, it's not working for him. So I think they really need to find a way in the offseason to get him back on track for another very good season next year. The Cincinnati Bengals. Get Joe Burrow healthy for the playoffs. I feel like that's kind of a no-brainer because he got hurt against the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday. But I think that Joe Burrow's really good, in my opinion. He reminds me of Patrick Mahomes a lot. But if he's not healthy, I don't think they're going to make it anywhere. I don't think they'll even make it past the wild card if he's not healthy. So they really need to get him healthy, get him rehabbed. And I don't know if that's really a word, but I don't know. But just get him rehabbed. I don't know. But seriously, they'll get him prepared for the wild card game. I think he'll play, but some people are a little skeptical. So I think they really need to start working on that with Joe Burrow, or just let him rest. Honestly, you can't. There's not really much you can do. I just think he needs to rest and can't really do anything. Because you have to win that playoff game, obviously, if you want a Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, obviously. Because I think they will have a shot at maybe a championship game or a Super Bowl. Maybe not win yet, but I think that they have a shot. Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns. Find a new receiving core. So you remember a couple years ago where the receiving core was so hyped up with Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, and all these other guys. Not anymore. Jarvis Landry's been hurt. Odell got traded to the Rams. They don't have really any good talent anymore besides Jarvis Landry, but he's hurt all the time now. They need to get away from Jarvis. They need to get away from the loss of Odell. They need to start working back up to get where they were hype-wise. Yeah, I think that Baker Mayfield doesn't have anyone to throw to. That's why they didn't make the playoffs, in my opinion. But it's just not a good... It's just Nick Chubb's like their only weapon at this point, even receiving-wise. When Jarvis Landry's injured, which he was a lot of this year. But yeah, next team, kind of unprofessional. The Tennessee Titans, rehab Derrick Henry. Kind of like rehab Joe Burrow for the playoffs. You need to rehab Derrick Henry because I don't think you're going to make it. You might make it farther than Cincinnati without Joe Burrow, but you're not going to make it as far without Derrick Henry. I mean, in the playoffs last year, he destroyed them. Destroyed every team. Besides the Chiefs, obviously. No, wait. I don't know. Yeah, they did play each other in the AFC Championship game last year. But I think that without Derrick Henry, you're not going to make it anywhere. I've already said that. But seriously, though, I think when he gets healthy again, I think he's going to be unstoppable because the playoffs, I mean, he's very good under pressure. That's what I've noticed. And in the playoffs, he was really good in the playoffs last year, so I don't see a reason he wouldn't be really good in the playoffs this year. But obviously, you need to rehab him before the playoffs start. And I don't think you play him in Sunday's game. I really don't. You gotta let him rest up more for the wild card game, or I don't know if they'll get number 1 seed or not. But Houston Texans. You got the Texans and the Jaguars next. So what can you expect here? Probably just breeze through these. Texans, find a better quarterback. I don't even know, or Davis Mills or something like that. That's their quarterback right now. But need to find a new quarterback. I mean, that's probably a no-brainer there. But that's all I really have to say for them. Jacksonville Jaguars, find a better head coach. They have 2 of them. They have 2 New Year's resolutions. Find a better head coach. Obviously, they got rid of the one guy. Forgot his name already. Forgot his name. I don't know. I don't even know their coach right now either. But they just need to find a better head coach, and they need to find a better quarterback. Trevor Lawrence is not long-term. I know that you're not going to waste all that money with just having him play 1 year and do awful. Honestly, get Gardner Minshew back if you're going to keep Trevor Lawrence in at this point. I just don't think he's long-term. I think they should get rid of him, even though it's a lot of money. But I think that they can get the money back if they are strategic with trading Trevor Lawrence. I think a lot of teams could use Lawrence. Maybe the Bucs as a backup or any backup quarterback. I think that's where he fits most, is a backup. Don't mean to be rude, Trevor Lawrence, if you're watching this, but I just think that a backup, I mean, he's an okay quarterback. With the right team and the right group of guys, I think he could be good. He could be one of the better backups in the league. He can't be a starter, though. Not yet. Maybe in the next 5 years if he works really hard for it, but right now he's a backup, in my opinion. Sorry, I keep looking over here because I got a sheet of paper that I need to look at to know what to say. The Indianapolis Colts, this is kind of a weird one. This is kind of like one guy. Find a replacement for T.Y. Hilton. I know T.Y. Hilton's kind of a footnote now, but I think that obviously he was really good in his prime, one of the better wide receivers in the league in his prime, in my opinion. Now he's not in his prime. I think he's going to retire or get traded, probably traded, but next year they need to find a replacement for him because, I mean, they got Zach Pascal right now, Michael Pittman. If you want to be a good football team, one of the criterias, in my opinion, is have a good second and third string wide receiver core. If your first string wide receiver is not having a great day, move to your second or third string. Just don't go to first string every time. Sorry. But I think that's really important, especially third string, because if you're first string, second string, I've seen a lot of games this year where both of those players have been not very good. And some teams have picked up the slack some players have picked up the slack with the third strings, but not many. I just think they need to find a good balance. A little more speedy than Tyreek Hill, or not Tyreek Hill, can't do that. T.Y. Hilton, and I think that he needs to be more just skillful than he was. Or T.Y. Hilton was obviously really good in his prime. I'm not meaning to take away anything from T.Y. Hilton, but he just needs to be better if he wants to stay in the NFL, in my opinion. Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, this was hard. Find a better second string running back. They have Darrell Williams right now. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think, is pretty injury prone, and I think that will continue, but they obviously need to find a very good second string running back. Obviously, people are going to say their defense, but their defense has been really good lately. Obviously, they've only allowed like 10 points per game, 15 points per game. But Darrell Williams, I don't think is going to make the cut. You need a good second string running back if you want to win. I think right now they could do without it, but in the offseason, I think better safe than sorry. The Denver Broncos. Find a better offensive line and defensive line. So let's start with the offensive line. They don't have a good center. They just don't have a good offensive line. That's all I have to say. Especially the center. I don't know the center's name right now, but he's just not very good. I think he needs to. I think the offensive line obviously needs to pick up the pace, and their defensive line. Let's move on to the defensive line. Getting rid of Von Miller was not good. Bradley Chubb needs to pick up the slack. He hasn't, and that's the only reason I put them. They need to work on that with their draft picks. trade deadline, and all that other stuff. Need to work on their defensive line. I think the defensive line doesn't need as much work as the offensive line, but it still needs work. Los Angeles Chargers start rebuilding their wide receiver core. Mike Williams, he's good. I think he'll stick around for a little bit, but they need to work really on Keenan Allen, kind of like T.Y. Hill, and it's one player you need to focus on. And Keenan Allen has not been very good this year. Haven't heard his name much, but I think they need to really start rebuilding their wide receiver core. They don't have really any other good wide receivers. They got some good tight ends, but they need to start working more in their wide receiver core, especially with trades. Trades could really help. Maybe pick up Antonio Brown while you're at it. Actually, I don't know about that. I don't know the saying. Get what you pay or whatever you with Antonio Brown. I don't know. I forgot the saying. But seriously though, they really do need to focus on getting their wide receiver core rebuilt if they want to have a chance because you can't waste all that talent. Justin Herbert, obviously, Justin Herbert's so good, and you don't want to waste it because they don't have any good wide receivers anymore. Keenan Allen was really good, and so is Mike Williams is still obviously really good. I think he's turning into their number one wide receiver, but Keenan Allen right now I think still is. Maybe. Depends. Depends on how much Charger football you watch. But see, I just think they really need to start rebuilding that. The Las Vegas Raiders find a replacement running back. Josh Jacobs isn't going to cut it, in my opinion. I think he's good. I think he's a good second-string running back. But obviously, if I've said this multiple times this episode, you need a good running back, or like a really star running back to win the Super Bowl. I know the Chiefs didn't when they won, and Bucs didn't really either, but it's just, I don't know, those might have been flukes. Damian Williams is actually really good for the Bucs, and now Leonard Fournette with the Bucs, Damian Williams was really good for the Chiefs, especially in the Super Bowl, and Leonard Fournette's obviously with the Bucs now. But I don't think he was with the Bucs. He might have been hurt in the Super Bowl. I don't know. But they need to really start rebuilding that running back position, first and second strings. Philadelphia Eagles. We're moving on to the NFC. So, Philadelphia Eagles is get better cornerbacks, not quarterbacks, cornerbacks. Our first defensive New Year's resolution, except the Broncos defensive line, but right now they have Darius Slay, but I think he's going to get traded next year. I've seen a lot of signs point to that, and they really need to rebuild that in particular, that position with Darius Slay maybe leaving. I think he's going to leave, and they don't have any other good players besides Darius Slay. Dallas Cowboys, that's kind of a no-brainer here, or maybe for some people, maybe not for Dallas fans. Find a replacement for Ezekiel Elliott. He's been fumbling so much. He can't score. His average is like 3 yards a carry. Not good. And I just think that you obviously need a good running back to win the Super Bowl. If you've been paying attention, you've heard that 30 times and probably is really annoyed. But yeah, I think that they need to move on from Ezekiel Elliott. And with Dak Prescott, obviously really good. You don't need to run the ball too much, but you still need a pretty good running back. And I think Zeke still is for a little not as good team, and they'll rely on him more. And I think he will get more touches and get more carries and get more yards per carries, and everything will boost his confidence back up and maybe go back to a better team. Maybe a couple years with a really bad team will help him and get his confidence back up, get to a better team, and then start actually rebuilding himself back to the level he was at Dallas his first or second year, third year, or whatever. The New York Giants. Find a long-term QB. Obviously, Daniel Jones is not a long-term QB. They've had Mike Glennon for like 3 weeks now. That's just not going to cut it. I really don't think that's going to cut it. And I think next year they'll keep Daniel Jones and maybe Mike Glennon if he gets hurt again. But I really do think, just like the Pittsburgh Steelers, maybe in 2 years get Bryce Young, all those guys that are in the draft, and maybe have a better draft pick than this year. It's actually hard to do that. I think they're like top 5 draft pick or something like that. The Washington football team, their New Year's resolution, get a better name. No, I'm just kidding. They need to get a good offensive line. They are not... I mean, their offensive line right now is okay, but it's not at the level it needs to be in order to have a really good, solid, good team. Because Taylor Heinicke, I think it's Taylor Heinicke. He's really good. He's got really good talent, but it's just gonna be wasted if you don't have a good offensive line. You need to work on their center's pretty good. They need to work on the outside positions more of the offensive line. The Green Bay Packers find a replacement running back. Aaron Rodgers, I think, there to stay for a couple more years. Aaron Jones, though, no, different Aaron. I think he's gonna go in a couple years. And right now they need to start maybe getting more people in training camps, more running backs in training camps, and getting them to the level they need to be, because I don't think Aaron Jones is going to last much longer there. I think he'll get traded, because he kind of lost a step there in the. I know week number 2 they played the Lions, so it's not that much. He got like 35 points for me in fantasy, but I really think he's lost a step, and I'm kind of disappointed in him. Maybe just because I had him in fantasy. Yeah, I lost in fantasy in the championship game by like 50 points because my uncle had Jamar Chase. So that's not good. But back to the point. Minnesota Vikings, find a new head coach. I got a notification today that said Mike Zimmer is probably getting to the end in Minnesota. So that obviously means find a new head coach. That's all I'm going to say about them. Detroit Lions. Move right to the Detroit Lions. I'll talk about them for a while. There's obviously, just like the Jets, they need a lot of work on basically everything, especially quarterback. But basically, I just said they can't capitalize on good draft picks, because they always have a good first round draft pick, like at least top 10, and they can never capitalize on them. But so the New Year's resolution, capitalize on a draft pick for once. I didn't say for once, but I think that you can't obviously bust on a draft pick and think to have a good record or an over 500 record. But I think Dan Campbell's going to definitely know that, and I think he's going to pick the right players in the next couple years and definitely rebuild this team to be a better team than they were before. Obviously, it's not that hard to be better than they were before, but and obviously, kind of another New Year's resolution: get rid of Jared Goff. He's just not good. I really don't think he's that good. He's had a pretty good couple weeks, last 3 weeks, but he's really lost a step since he was with the Rams and got to that Super Bowl. Because he was really good when they made it to the Super Bowl, but he's lost a step. I don't know why. They definitely found out what was wrong with him, or how to stop him, and it was pretty easy, I guess. Chicago Bears. Find a new head coach. Obviously, Matt Nagy's probably going to be gone after this year. So that means, just like the Vikings, find a new head coach. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's time to start rebuilding their coaching staff. It's always hard to find a new head coach because you don't know if the offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator is going to like what plays are running, and it's obviously hard to do that. And obviously, you have a lot of coaches. You have running back coach, quarterback coach, defensive coach, defensive coordinator, all those guys. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Find Find a replacement number two string running back. Just like the Bucks or just like the Chiefs, they got a really good at running back, better than Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Leonard Fournette. But Ronald Jones isn't going to make the cut. Right now he's pretty good for him, but I don't think he's going to last much longer there and be a really good number 2 running back. Because right now he's pretty good. He's one of the better second string running backs in the league, but I don't think he's going to be like that for much longer. Carolina Panthers. Find a non-injury prone running back. Christian McCaffrey is nearing his end. I know it seems like it's gone by super fast. I feel like he's only in his 5th year, something like that. But I think it's almost time for him to go. I think he's super injury prone, and the Panthers need to start rebuilding running back position wise. The Atlanta Falcons trade Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is not the long-term quarterback anymore. Obviously, they made the Super Bowl once, didn't get any rings, but that's okay. I mean, you're not going to win them all. I mean, I know the Super Bowl is super important, but you're not going to win them all. But I think they need to trade Matt Ryan. He's definitely nearing his end. Kind of like Big Ben. I think, obviously, he's definitely going to retire after this year. But I think Matt Ryan might too. I think you might be surprised. New Orleans Saints, kind of like the last one, get a better quarterback. Jameis Winston, he might get injury prone because after a torn ACL, you're falling apart basically. And the Saints, I mean, Taysom Hill's okay. Jameis Winston's pretty good. After five interceptions, you get a touchdown, and after 5 touchdowns, you get an interception. It's kind of all over the place with him. Sorry. And obviously Taysom Hill, Ian Book. You might get Ian Book to be a second string running quarterback sometimes, a pretty good one, but you got to work hard to get him there because it's 9-0 against the Dolphins one time he played, and he obviously needs work. Los Angeles Rams. We're almost done. We got 4 teams left. One division. The Los Angeles Rams is work with Matthew Stafford on the interceptions. He's had 5-6 pick sixes this year, not to mention all the interceptions that haven't been pick sixes. He's had a lot, and he really needs to work on that if they want to do really good. I think this year they have a really good shot at making the Super Bowl, but if you're going to throw that many interceptions, I don't think you will. I think he'll get back on track in the playoffs because he's been waiting for that moment his whole career. And with the Lions, that's not really going to happen much. But with the Rams, now he's hungry for it. I think they have a shot at winning. Good shot at winning, but he needs to work on the picks. The Arizona Cardinals gave James Conner the ball more. Chase Edmonds, he's a good number two string running back, but James Conner is their number 1 running back. I know there's been kind of a big debate on who should be the number 1 running back, but I think James Conner, no question. He's really good with the Steelers. Obviously, Najee Harris is there now, but there's no question I think James Conner is number 1 running back, and he's really good. I've seen him play with the Cardinals. He's been really good, so I think they need to give him the ball more. Seattle Seahawks. Get better running backs. Just like the Baltimore Ravens, they have a lot of okay running backs, but they don't have off-the-charts running backs, and that's obviously what you need. They have Chris Carson, they have Rashad Penny. They have these okay guys, but they need to obviously have really good players if you're going to want to win. Really good running backs. Not really good, but Le'Veon Bell type style. LaShawn McCoy in his prime. But guys like that, you need a really good running back, or a pretty good running back to have that. Not just so-so guys. Last team, the San Francisco 49ers. Find a long-term quarterback. Trey Lance, I don't really know their quarterback situation, to be honest. Jimmy Garoppolo right now is definitely not a long-term quarterback. A lot of people think he is, but I really don't think he is. And Trey Lance, I don't think is a long-term quarterback either. But that's really all I have to say about them. I just don't think they need to work on that. quarterback coach needs to work on that. Quarterback coaches, I think they're a little underrated, quarterback coaches, because they work a lot with the quarterback, and they don't get much respect for it, but that's a different podcast, different everything. But, yeah, that's going to be the end of the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Obviously, a new podcast every Friday, and I'm going to try to do every Friday at 1 o'clock. I got a new laptop, and now I can put a schedule on the videos, because right now I'm filming this on Saturday, the day after other podcasts posted. I'm filming this one on Saturday. It's just going to be private until Friday at 1 o'clock, hopefully. Hope you guys enjoyed the video today, though. And, yeah, have a great day, great rest of your day, and see ya.